Welcome to Subscription Prescription, the podcast where you get the information you need to scale your subscription program. I'm your host, Matthew Holman, and I'm excited to be joined today by Andrei Rebrov, the CTO and co-founder of Scentbird, heavily involved in the subscription space. One of the great people to connect with, incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly kind. Andrei, thank you for coming on the show today, man.
Thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. So before we dive in, I want to take a quick moment and give a shout out to one of our sponsors. For those of you that know and have followed the show for a while, I'm a big fan of Legion Athletics. They're one of our customers. They're an amazing supplement brand. They are one of the things that they kind of really do a great job, in addition to the purchase experience and products, is really nailing down customer experience. And that's because they've absolutely nailed their fulfillment. And as you may know, fulfillment is one of the most, well, I'd say it's one of the most important parts of the purchase process after somebody makes a purchase, but it's also one of the things that can really negatively impact future retention if anything goes wrong. So Legion Athletics uses a company called Stored. Stored is a partner and sponsor of the Subscription Prescription program. They operate fulfillment centers across the world, as well as manage complementary technology that helps you reduce transaction costs or transportation costs, increase visibility, and give you the tools you need to nail your fulfillment experiences for your customers. So if you're looking for a fulfillment partner, and again, they operate 3PLs for physical fulfillment as well as software for your own fulfillment. They can do an awful lot. Go check out stored, STORD.com, and I'll have a link to them in the show notes. Andrei, I don't know if you remember this or not. You could do this maybe after the show. Go back and scroll back several years ago on our LinkedIn DMs arguing about technology. So it feels really fun to be here today. Andrei has, honestly, I think a lot of people that come on the show are marketers. A lot of people that are active in the space are marketers. CTOs, the technology component is often behind the scenes. And yet when we think about subscriptions, they're actually incredibly complex from a technical standpoint. And so I just think it's great to have you here. And I would love for you to start at least by sharing with the audience a little bit more about your background and how Scentbird came to be.
Absolutely. So I spent last 11 years scaling, growing Scentbird, and that by itself is an incredible journey. That's actually more than half of my career in IT. I've been in IT for 17 years. Still not that much, but learned a lot. Before that, I was a technologist. I was a Java engineer, still do a little bit of coding. I was an agile coach, so I helped other companies to do their business better, and that's how I learned how to do things right and not how not to do them in order not to screw things significantly. But always considered and still consider myself an engineer first, and then everything else second. Entrepreneur second, marketer second. Actually, a lot of people tell me that I sound like a marketing person these days, and I believe this is important. Not like, you have to share multiple traits, especially if you run the company, and you should understand how to sell the product, how to build the product, how to fulfill your product, how to take care of your customers. So it is important things to understand. But these days, heavily involved in our own business, we reached actually a very significant milestone for us. We shipped across Scentbird and Rift, other subscription brand that we know that actually is very close to you, you the board. We shipped more than 1 million packages in December. More to come. But to do so, we built a lot of things, we created a lot of things, and that's what keeps me occupied these days.
No, absolutely. And so for those of, tell us a little more, what is Scentbird? Tell everybody home what they're getting if they were to go check out Scentbird.com.
Scentbird started as a perfume subscription company, solving the problem of buying fragrance online, because fragrance is something that you need to try for a significant period of time. It's not just enough to go to the store, spray it on your wrist, and then spend $150 on it, maybe even more. There are quite expensive fragrances out there that cost $6,000, $800,000. So it is risky to buy it online. You need to smell it, and if you go to the store, not necessarily you'll get access to that specific brand that you want to try, because that brand might only have one representation in the United States. So we were solving that problem. So we were bringing people, um, giving people access to multiple fragrance brands, multiple fragrances all across the United States. Then eventually we added male fragrances. We started to add other scented goods like candles, reed diffusers. Then 2.5 years ago, we acquired car freshener subscription called Drift,
Mhm.
and since then we started to expand even more. We launched um, wall plugs earlier.
Okay, so getting into the device space as well then?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
now the company motto is Scentbird is a fragrance destination of the world, and like that also gives you a hint about our future plans around international expansion. But the
Mhm.
idea is, if you want to add a new fragrance in your life, no matter what it is, a designer fragrance or it's a car freshener or maybe some other scented product, you should go to Scentbird, go through the quiz, and start your journey.
I'll tell you this. I'm not sure I've told you this, but I've met in person with the Drift guys at some events
Mm.
here, and it was funny when you guys bought them. I went and bought a subscription, and Drift this so it's like these wood fragrances and stuff you can put them in your car. It was so strong. I actually put it in my glove box for the
Oh, yeah.
first few days to like so it would still fill the car with scent, and then because it was so strong, and then it was in there, and then it'd be in there for a few more weeks. It was really really great. So it's so interesting to see the like the progression of that, like of your change, and as you're talking about that, my mind is just reeling with all the different technology implications, because it's one thing to say like, hey, I'm gonna start selling a pet food subscription and I'm gonna set it up with Recharge or some other subscription platform. That actually is tricky enough as it is. But when you're talking about a variety of different products, devices, and you guys do your own fulfillment, do you guys do your own fulfillment now
We
too?
do a lot
Or
of things
yeah.
in-house. Fulfillment, we took over fulfillment back in 2019, and
Mhm.
you highlighted exactly right in the beginning. Like, subscription has three main pillar, as I always describe it. You need to make sure that you charge people correctly. That's why you need a reliable subscription partner. You need to fulfill all the orders as fast as you can, with ideally with zero errors, and then you need to take care of your customers if they have any problems. So customer experience, for operations, and the financial operations, like, are three foundational things for every subscription business. So yeah, we
Yeah.
took it in house in 2019. We expanded a year ago into 100 square feet facility, brand new. So now we operate it all.
No, that's fantastic. And then who are you guys using for your subscription platform?
So for the subscription platform, for the last, what, 4 5 years, actually, no, it's actually like 5.5 years, we've been using Recurly, and like they are one of these partners who I always promote, even if I'm not getting paid by them, because like they hit my favorite definition of being a reliable partner. They just work. Like, I don't have to go and complain. Like, yes, as every software platform, sometimes they have problems, but they
Right.
have very little of them. They're always super transparent about what's going on. They are proactive. If something happens, they reach out proactively saying, hey guys, like, we identified affected customers, here is the list, like, this is our recommendation about what they can do. They do a ton of events. They actually, since the rebranding and since the change in management, they became more proactive. They do more events. They do more collaboration, more talks, and that's what I expected from them, because they have such a tremendous knowledge of industry, such great insights. I was always waiting for them to share it more often. Like, we were getting them because we have an amazing account representative, but I was not sure about other brands. So it's great to see that they do it right now.
Is there a particular feature or integration or way that they work that like you really like that works for Scentbird? Like again, especially as you're scaling and adding in different product lines and different use cases. Like I'm
I
curious,
would
like
say the fact that they have a very good API first, so it's easy to understand how to use it. they don't demand you to use it all. So, for example, because we have so many custom things, for example, we don't use their discount logic because we have a lot of complicated things of our own. So we
Yeah,
just like
right.
tell, hey, charge customer less by X, and this is it. We'll do the calculation. We don't use their um, revenue recognition model because we have our own models, things like that. But the rest we use, it worked great. They keep expanding it, and again, it just works. Like we are scaling pretty massively, and unlike many subscriptions, we don't have this anniversary bidding approach when like we will charge you the same day when you originally subscribe. So if you subscribed on 10th, you always will be charged on 10th. We do charge in waves because it allows us to batch operations in the warehouse and
Hmm.
ship lookalike or orders faster and cheaper. That creates a lot of load on them because at the same day we have to charge uh 250,000 people. We need to get these responses fast. We need to ensure that there are no issues there. So that works.
Oh yeah.
Plus, I would say one of the most two great things that I appreciate a lot. First, they have a lot of predefined integrations with different payment gateways. So, for
Okay.
example, if we want to run an A/B test and see who is better, let's say Chase or Ventive, we can do this without big problems. We just add two of them. We do configure A/B test on our platform and see how it works. And the second part is recovery logic. So have their own machine learning
Oh, interesting.
algorithms that retry failed charges based on error, based on your own input, things like that. And like, from time to time, they organize calls with their data analytics team who gives you additional insights. Okay, this is what we noticed. For example, we see better recovery on Saturdays, but we see better initial subscription days on Fridays. We see worse
Mm.
recovery on Mondays. So based on this, then you can adjust your own things on your own website. So that like
Yeah, no,
all these
that makes
features, they're
a
great.
massive that's a massive deal. And especially on like the batch part, like especially when you run your own fulfillment, like you're
Yeah.
able to have more control over when orders are going to hit your system or when you can
Uh,
manage the fulfillment.
and like yes, I'll give you a very interesting example here. So um we can define when we want the charge to happen, and like this is important for two reasons. First of all, like there is this cadence when people get paid. Usually people get paid around, let's say, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., more or less, something like this. Like this is how like most of these modern platforms like Rippling work. They send you transaction early in the morning. So what we want to do, we want to run a charge around 8:30 of your local time. So we will be the first
Mm.
subscription who does the charge. On the other hand, we want to compress these charges, so we charge majority of customers of that wave as soon as possible. And once they charge, then we can start creating order batches for the warehouse. So next morning, 5 a.m., warehouse can start to work immediately without any delays. So like they can start shipping right away.
Able to control the timing, able to control also when the order hits fulfillment. Yeah,
Yep.
that's really good. And then it is interesting you mentioned on the like the chart on the retry logic because it's like some of the other players like so a lot of people listening here on the show are on Shopify or WooCommerce. WooCommerce has obviously got a few different options, but Shopify I think is starting to catch up. So Shopify subscription apps are starting to try to figure out recovery
Mhm.
logic. For a long time it was very basic, like retry tomorrow,
Yep.
retry tomorrow, retry tomorrow. And so they're starting to flesh that out a little bit. And we're seeing some like third party players like Butter
Water
Payments,
payments,
Fly
flex.
Code,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, FlexPay, Redux, and others that help manage that. So it's kind of great that you have it that already built into a platform, especially at your scale. Like you want those two things to be as tightly intertwined as possible.
Exactly, because like the closer you are to the raw data from
Mhm.
the issuer, from the payment gateway, the better logic you can build.
Right, absolutely. Cool. So I'd love you to put on your marketing hat for a little bit.
Mhm.
And I know, and love for you to share some of the things you've seen working for you guys over the last year or two from a tactical perspective,
Mhm.
like either offers that are working, win back campaigns, or anything you can think of that's been really powerful for Scentbird.
Mhm. Couple of things here, and actually it all starts with how you structure your team, because when we started for quite a long period of time, we had two different teams with different KPIs. One was responsible for the growth, and another one was responsible for retention. And this is
I've
one of
got whole
the
podcast episodes about complaining about that, by the way. So I'm glad you can bring it.
yeah,
Okay, keep
because
going.
like these people, if you keep them separate, and their KPIs are separate, you'll get exactly what Charlie Munger is saying. Like, tell me the incentive, and I'll tell the behavior. Your growth team will bring you the cheapest traffic. Unfortunately, for example, they can bring you a lot of lots of affiliate traffic, which is in fact, yes, it is a cheap traffic, but from a retention perspective, this is the worst traffic. Like these people
Okay.
produce a lot of churn, they produce a lot of chargeback, lots of fraud. So first thing first, make sure like you have one team responsible for LTV. Honestly, it's all about the LTV, and
LTV.
this whole
It
game
is.
is about LTV, and all your metrics should revolve around LTV. LTV to CAC, LTV per channel, payback per channel. Like you should control it this separately. Second, another prerequisite for successful marketing, you need to have a proper data analytics in place, because a lot of people, like people who start the like I see this less and less, but a lot of people just use their feeling when they run marketing. Okay, something works, like we pay money, we get revenue. Okay, I guess it works. Unfortunately, it's not the way to do things. Like that, like people who do growth marketing, they should be very hands-on in terms of working with data, working with data analysis. They need to have proper systems to do this. And honestly, like there are a lot of good solutions on the market. For example, I heard a lot of great things about Triple Whale for people who work with marketing data. Like you need to have something that allows you to clearly understand, okay, if I like what's going on with my average CAC, is it going up, is it going down? And then based on this, you need to be able to, okay, we see a great things happening on Facebook, let's reconvene with finance if they can allow us to spend more money, because it works in our favor right now, so let's spend a little bit more. Yes, our EBITDA will go down, but we'll get more good traffic. So that's another thing.
And knowing that by channel, as you mentioned, like if you know that you have stronger LTV on a channel versus others, you can afford a higher CAC on those, depending on being
Exactly,
able to
like
understand the right.
per channel. Sometimes inside channel you might have different. For example, Facebook is such a huge machine in terms of like how it operates, how many different models you have. So like you need to understand, okay, for initial acquisition, like that's our TV, this is what we can afford here, this is our metrics. For example, if you run separate campaign for people who unsubscribe from you previously, you need to have a separate set of metrics. You need to properly like, do the attribution, connect all the UTM campaigns, do all the stuff like that. That requires a lot of efforts on its own. Like this is something that you'll inevitably do once you scale. Like yes, in the
Mhm.
beginning you might have 1-2 campaigns, but you need to do this. um Another thing is you need to be very consistent, like in regards to what you do. Like all the channels that you have, they should be viewed as a unified organism, meaning like you shouldn't just run Facebook and separate from it you should just run email campaign. Because for example, if you offer, I don't know, like 20% discount on Facebook and then you start your email sequences with 5%, people, they won't complain, but
They
the
notice.
conversion of this marketing offer will be very low. So you should be consistent in regards to what you do, and ideally, like the message that people initially see from the initial point of contact. For example, they're on Facebook, they see that you offer 30% discount because now you have a very unique, um, let's say, winter box. So when they go to the website, they also should see information about this winter box. When you hit them with retargeting campaign, they should see information about winter box, unless they change, like what they change their interest when they were browsing the website. For example, you notice
Right.
that they spend
Right.
more time not on winter box because the winter hopefully is soon will be over, but on Springbox. So then you can start advertising a little bit of that to catch their interest, to see if there are any response. If yes, then you double down on that one. So like this whole marketing journey is a separate thing, and you need to consider this. In terms of things that work, couple of things that we saw last year that were, I won't call them surprising, but they allowed us to divert a little bit from Facebook being the number one channel. Like it is still number one channel. Obviously, it is just a beast, but there's always good to find alternative stuff. So first of all, TikTok shops. Um, it is great for like, you still can do like a subscription there, but it's a great way to at least I'm not aware of this, but
Right.
at least it's
No,
a
you
great
can't.
way to
Yeah.
give an initial hint of what you sell. Let's say you have, I'll give an example. Like we are, most likely people won't buy any Christmas team stuff or like New Year team stuff right now. So you can say, hey, I have this bundle that I'm ready to sell for 50% discount. It has a lot of great stuff in it. I don't know, for example, you sell, I don't know, liquors or some, let's say candies. So like we are not banned on any platform. So let's say candies, then they are Christmas themed. So it's still candy. People will enjoy eating it. Maybe it doesn't, like you cannot gift it to someone, but candy is a candy. So then you go create a product, advertise on TikTok, and it catch up well. So you're good to go. People at least learn about your product, and now you have a different list to outreach and engage with them. The only problem is when you do sell uh, on TikTok, TikTok won't share the customer email with you. So, but at least people get engaged with your TikTok account. Hence, you need to have someone who runs your TikTok account, who create a lot of content there. And the strategy here, at least as far as I know, is different from Instagram. Like different type of content goes there, different audience,
Right.
so different strategy. So
No, it
that's
does. It's like an amazing discovery platform, and I still think even though you don't own the customer data, like you get a lot of people going to your can will click through from your TikTok storefront and actually go to your website to kind of see more about what
Yeah.
you offer.
The only thing that I want to mention here, like be ready that TikTok plugin
Yeah.
for Shopify won't work straight away. We had a lot of issues with this, and it took us almost a month. Even we got the help from TikTok engineering slash support team to deal with this. Like it took us quite some time to make it work, but at the end it worked. So now it's bringing some good revenue numbers. So that's one. Second, one thing that surprisingly worked for us all of a sudden was Snapchat. Like I don't have any
Oh,
specific
interesting.
details here, but in general, my recommendation will be as soon as you can afford it, keep experimenting on various channels regularly. So if they will catch up, you have something that is ready, and then you can just scale it instead of just running it from the foundation. So that's in regards to um, Snapchat. Heard a lot of great things about upline. Like not great.
Yeah.
Like I would say I've heard mixed reviews of
Right.
about upline. So we are going to test it in the next months, but from what I heard, it's great if you already at certain scale, if you are a big brand, then you can drive a lot of good traffic and it works well. For people who just starting on or who are small, it looks like it's better to avoid it. Again, like
Yeah, they
sending to
are.
a
It
lot of,
seems like they're prioritizing brands that can afford more spend, but yeah, there's certain like a certain level of like brand awareness that can help with that as well. Um, sorry, were you going to before
like that in terms
I
of main
yeah.
channels, but one thing that I hear more and more often is it's like and that's the advice for people who are scaling their business, not who just starting. You cannot stay D2C forever. At some
Mhm.
point, you have to go retail. So, like I heard, like I saw articles like D2C is dead. That obviously this is a
Right.
clickbait name, but there is some truth to it. Like if you want to scale, if you want to have a sustainable revenue, you need to go to retail, and which retail depends on the product you sell. If you like, it could be Whole Foods. If you sell uh nice supplements that are natural and do good for you too, but if you do something outdoors, you might consider Ray. If you do something in regards to, I don't know, um survival, like shield box, like that's a different type of retailers, but you need to go there.
Hmm.
Meaning that you need to prepare your supply chain. Maybe your product should look like differently. Maybe you have a different
Right.
offering. You need to be able to. You need to learn how to get in contact with buyers. Yeah, in this retailers, you need to understand how to run this operation, because if you hook up with Target or Walmart, they require very specific SLA in regards to how fast you ship, how fast your product should hit their warehouses, the quality of the shipment, and get all that stuff. So that might require a small department by itself, but I believe it is worth it.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah, a lot of brands you have to figure out a different, sometimes a different offering, like a different size amount, different packaging, different things. And it's difficult to do something like gift with purchase like you could on a
Oh,
website than you can in a store, right? It's a totally different experience. I'm curious when you were talking about discounts earlier, like because question that I get all the time is about like being too aggressive on discounts. What happens if I'm already giving away 20% to subscribers and I'm trying to do a campaign and offer 30% or 40%? I'm curious if you have a methodology or a process about how you guys internally think about discounting. You mentioned making them consistent, which I thought was really, really good, but I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on like what do you worry about existing subscribers seeing a better discount and potentially leaving to go grab that, or like how does Scentbird approach that?
so I would say, like, once it's out and in the internet, there is no way to hide it.
Mhm.
So, like, yes, inevitably people will see a better offer that they got initially, and then it's up to you. Like, if they go and complain to customer support, then it's the way how you manage your customer support, and like what can you offer. Like, can you offer additional discount? Maybe you can offer discount for like some credits that people can spend on full size product in our case, or you, like, again, it depends on customer personality. Some people come to customer support very aggressively. Some people come in more
Mm,
moderate term, and then you're trying to negotiate the deal. So again, like, this is in many cases the customer support topic. But in general, yes, like, always assume that people will see a better discount, and you can put whatever you want in the terms and condition that this deal only works for new subscriber. People will find a way how to use it and abuse it. Like,
sure.
like that's why the term friendly fraud exists. In terms of should I use the discount or not, that's a big philosophical question for the brand itself. Like, some brands, a lot of brands use discounts. We use discount. If you go to the Scentbird.com right now, you see by default 20% discount for your first month, though. The like how we come up with the specific size of discount, we had a number of A/B tests that balanced out conversion rate and LTV. So the
Hmm.
ultimate, like, all our A/B tests, they calculate what will the effect on the LTV. So the idea might be the controversial, but if it increases the LTV, good. Like, we keep the solution that we found. Some brands don't discount themselves, and like that's a brand strategy. That's what we usually see either from
Right.
luxury brands, I don't know, Hermes, for example, or from like very expensive brands who maintain high quality. For example, Arc'teryx. I've never seen Arc'teryx on discount. They have their how would they call it? I believe sometimes they sell old items with some discount, but
Oh
like
yeah.
outlet. I think they call it Arc'teryx outlet, so you can go find things cheaper there. But it's not officially called a discount. Some people, I think, who did this? I believe Ipsy did this, like you or and that was probably part of the loyalty program. You're not getting a discount; you're getting some kind of some type of credits or something
Yeah,
similar to
something
this.
like
That you,
a punch card or something you can earn free purchases or
yes,
point more
there
points
are
or something you
multiple
use
ways
to
how you
redeem,
can
right? Redeem those things.
explain it to customer, because um, what's interesting, like, cost and value are two different things in the eyes of the customer. And like, that's why we
Right.
have a specific unsubscribe reason. When people cancel a subscription, I don't see enough value in what I'm getting. So it's not about the price; it's the price to value
Perceived value. Right.
perceiving. And like, then it means that we need to do a better job when we explain. why it costs this way, why do we think it is worth buying for that price.
No, I think that's an excellent point, and I think that a lot of times that's where, especially newer starting up brands, like they don't do a great job of demonstrating value, right? Like explaining why the quality of the ingredient matters, right? Or like, some of those things, right? Or oftentimes thinking about discounts is can feel like a price, a gift, or some other kind of reward can feel like a value add, right? So you
Mhm.
have to understand the differences between those two. Do you guys do when you run campaigns, do you run special offers to subscribers, or do you just kind of leave them alone mostly as their own audience and just look at running discounts and stuff? And yes, I know that they might see that, but do you run special or dedicated campaign, like especially with rolling out new products? Are you
Mhm.
trying to introduce subscribers to the new products?
So we do a bunch of things in parallel, and they hit existing customers. They hit people who aren't subscribed before. So, for example, even if an existing customer, the things that you will see with discounts. So we have what we call toss-in. So, like something that will go into your next subscription box that will be discounted every month. It's a different set of products. We have limited drops when we buy a limited supply of full size bottle from the brand, and you can only buy it in the next 48 hours. It is cheaper, but like it's a little bit cheaper, or maybe even the same amount, but usually it's cheaper than in the retail store. But again, the supply only lasts a very short period of time. We have buy
Hmm.
your queue again when you like actually the way how Scentbird works. It is fully customizable subscription. You define what you get in every month. Like so, you have like a calendar, a queue, and every element of this queue is a month in the future. So sometimes, if you don't want to wait, you can go and buy your entire queue. Because of that, you like the more items you'll get, the better discount you will get.
Oh,
For us,
interesting.
it's and for us, it's cheaper to fulfill and ship such an order than let's
Right.
say seven individual orders. So these campaigns they happen every month. The product they affect are different sometimes. Um, then
I'm
we have
curious how much technical work went into that to be able to show a queue and have it be different customized products. Like, is
that's
that
why we
something we're
build it
currently
in
supporting, or
house
is
since
that
day
was
one.
fully custom?
It's
Yeah.
fully
Okay.
custom, and
Yeah.
we made this, I'll call it a controversial decision right in the beginning. Hey guys, let's build this thing ourselves, because when we started 11 years ago, there were not so much things for subscription specifically. And
Mhm.
even right now for subscription, like yes, there are some subscription billing platforms, but even when it
you
comes
you
down,
could you could preset, like, hey, month one you get this, month two you get this kind of thing, but people being able to go and like change what they get on their third order from now, like I don't know if that would be without some serious like customization,
and sometimes
especially like an interface and stuff.
oh, for
Yeah.
interface, no. Like I actually,
Yeah.
from time to time, I'll confess I have some fun talking to blunt and to egoistic sales reps of certain platforms and certain tools, saying, "Hey, like we can replace your homegrown solution. You just go and switch to what we offer." Like, okay, let's have a conversation. Like,
And that was what our discussions were so long ago on LinkedIn, was what I was arguing with him, that homegrown solutions were trash. And I would say, and I will say, yes, many are of, I shouldn't say trash. I should say many have shortcomings because you can't build it all. But if you're leading like Andre and you're leading a team, like you know what you're doing, it's a totally different ball of
and
wax, right?
to be fair, like we don't code internally everything. Like we rely
Right.
on partners. Like, and this is where this composable commerce thing come into
Hmm.
reality. You don't have to solve every single problem on Earth yourself. Like you don't have to like what was the Jeff Bezos saying? Like if something doesn't make the taste of your beer better, you don't have to do it yourself. So, for example,
Hmm.
we recently switched to third-party product information management model because they do it better. We have a
Okay.
different platform for e-commerce discount because they do it better, and like this is a very complicated thing. We use Recurly
Hmm.
for subscription business, for subscription billing. We use, for example, Constructor for search and like, some of the recommendations. So but like very specific logic that actually makes it convenient for customers, or for example CRM logic that makes our customer support effective or operations effective, that we do by ourselves. And like we know how to build things, we know how to run them, and more importantly we know how to scale them.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing is like I think sometimes for brands that I've talked to that have done custom builds, like they sometimes don't know what they don't know or don't realize maybe that there's sometimes like they've given themselves too much overhead or and I think for any business in any industry ever, it's like, okay, the idea of like build versus buy, like, can I
Oh,
get there 80% of the way, right? Like that last 10 or 20%, that's that one little custom
that's the
feature. Is
hardest
that
one.
really a business driver?
Yep.
Is that really going to be an LTV driver? Because it's changing drastically, like the cost of operating that system. So that makes a lot of sense. That's really interesting breakdown of how you kind of like
Hmm.
thought through in that composable commerce really at its finest, without any buzzwords or anything really. It's just about all the different pieces that work the best, and you guys are managing that and deciding whether to build or what other systems to implement.
And I believe like we'll see more of this year, because the cost of engineering is actually going down because of all
Hmm.
this AI improvements. Like I've
Hmm.
been personally using this service called not service application called Windsurf, that has this embedded AI agent into it, and you just ask this thing, "Hey, I want to build this," and it not just generates the code for you; it runs it. If it sees any errors, it will try to fix it, and it can
Jeez.
do anything from, I don't know, infrastructure management to the front end, like and it's goes to ridiculous level of you can ask it, hey, make it prettier, and it will do it for you. And that's pretty incredible. And the efficiency gain that you get, I would say senior people will get most of it, because they know how to ask questions properly and how
Right.
to um, break down complex task into smaller ones. So like if you do the
Hmm.
small task one by one, and then you get an impressive result. But in general, like this is quite crazy, and because of that, I honestly believe you will see more mm, defined vertical solutions for very specific problems. When people want to, like, I don't know if you heard this term micro SaaS. When people just create a small service, they run it by themselves, or maybe like a couple of friends
Right.
do this. Like they get enough money for themselves. They don't have a goal to turn it into the unicorn, but their tool solves a very particular problem for someone, and they're happy with this, and they're paying for it. So we will see more of this year and the next year.
Well, it's funny you mention that. I'll send this to you later so you can check it out. But we've been doing that too. We built a thing called Next Time, which is the ability to see. I think I was telling you about this. It went to Sub Summit like a year or two ago. We were talking about the idea, and it's working in some brands now where before the order processes, customers can see
Oh,
a predicted delivery date in case they are going to be gone or they want to make
hmm,
changes. And then we're actually like it's kind of cool because it's very specific. I think it has broader applications. It's
hmm,
interesting, but it's not going to be like it's not going to be your typical SaaS play or anything. It's more like, hey, this is solving a very, very unique problem. It's the classic, like if you have this problem, this solution looks amazing. If you don't have this problem, then you don't understand what it's doing.
exactly. Yep.
So that's a really great point. I think the other movement we're seeing too is like consolidation, like apps that are offering more and more services, and people are choosing like like we don't spend a ton of time with our reviews and you do reviews too, so we're going to move our reviews to you. Like I think every business is trying to focus on their core competency, and then if
Hmm.
it's not something they're spending tons of time on or worrying about, then they're just going to try to unify that because it's going to lower their costs, with
Yep.
using fewer service providers.
To the degree, because we still have, and I would say only in case when they see that the platform in general is very performant and ROI is
Right.
high. Because on the other side of the spectrum, you have this old gigantic ERP systems, for example, that
Hmm.
technically can do many things. At
But
least
they
they
don't
promise to
know
do
well.
many things for many
Yeah.
many thousand, hundred thousands of dollars. They don't deliver it, and like people will start reconsider the spend and say, like, do I really need this expensive platform when I can hire these guys? Because like, let's say we have this ERP, but the only thing we use it is for revenue recognition and revenue reporting. This is it. Maybe we'll hire these guys. they'll be cheaper. They'll do what we need from them. They like we will have some face to talk to, not just some
Right.
customer support
An
ticket,
account
and
rep,
this
an
is it.
account rep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. No, that makes a lot of sense. Andre, when are kind of well, two more questions, but final question of this is, uh, when are you going to come out with another newsletter episode on LinkedIn? Seems like it's been a minute since I've seen any published.
I actually switched from newsletters to like daily to daily posts right now,
Okay.
because the topic kind of I cover a lot of things. Then, like
Right.
when I did this, I spent some time actually writing the book, and I published the
Oh,
book
that's right. That's right.
last August. And then I just switched to like daily news and coverage of things that are
Mhm.
interesting, because um, there are just so many things happening, and like it is important to see them. And in terms of subscription businesses, like I don't have an exposure to so many brands like you, for example. So like I kind of packed out things that I learned at Scentbird, and now I'm just like doing small posts when I try certain tool, like this is what it can do for you.
Mhm.
Go and play with it. Sometimes maybe once I will do some small application, small service, I will launch it and like get feedback from people. But in terms of newsletter, it is on pause right now. Like I keep posting like these small things, these small articles. This is another area where AI helps a lot to do this research, to do some like initial thoughts on an article. But I always update it myself, because like I want to have my
Yeah,
own
that's fair.
authentic
Yeah.
voice, and like what you get from AI is still pretty robotic. But yeah, like that's what I'm
No,
doing
that's
right
good. I
now in
mean,
terms of being
that's why
public
I asked.
face.
I do like your voice. I feel like you have a unique perspective, and so it's definitely worth checking out. And I'll put a link to your book on Amazon in
Thank
the
you.
show notes for people to check out. It's definitely worth a read. Andre, final thoughts. That's kind of my last thing. Is anything else that we haven't covered that you feel like would be valuable? Things that you're getting questions on, or things that audience should know, or that you feel like they should know?
I would say this year will be interesting for many reasons. For me, it will be interesting because we'll see the cost of doing an experiment or trying something out right now is very cheap. Like you
Hmm.
go out and ask ChatGPT, hey, like I want to do this, like give me instruction how I can do this. A lot of people now will be able to create small solutions for themselves even without knowing how to code. Like this is where Cursor or Windsurf that I already mentioned come into place. You just ask them, hey, I want to integrate my QuickBooks with some tools that you use. So it automates this boring Excel processing for me. It will do it for you. You'll run it, and you'll forget it and focus on what really matters. So I want to encourage people to try things more, to become more on hand with all this automation things, and don't be afraid of this. Like the cost of error, it will be mostly zero. Like yes,
Right.
sometimes you like just make sure that you review what AI did for you, and like ask another for example, ask ChatGPT to create the code, and then ask Claude to review it and make sure that it actually works. Something like
That's
this.
so fun. Right.
Um, but in general, yes, like go out, try to learn from other departments. Like if you're in operations, learn how like finance work or how marketing brings new customers, and vice versa.
No, that's a great advice. For me, I'm getting more and more used to using the advanced voice feature on ChatGPT. Like,
Mm.
I was actually trying to think of all the events I wanted to go this year, and I just told it to go to these websites and put together the dates and locations, and then I just had like a thing that I could copy and put into my schedule. I did it in
Like,
10 seconds, and I thought this is amazing. Why? What am I doing? I need to do this more.
do you know that you can like what helps me a lot, for example, like when the new school year starts, like they send you this whole schedule of like when they will have holidays. You can just feed it into ChatGPT, create an IC if you're on Mac, create an ICS file, import it in your calendar,
Oh, that is genius. That is genius.
and it can do the
Okay.
same. Like, hey, like I want to create a calendar of all the major events and subscriptions and e-commerce. Create an ICS file for me with reminders 2 days prior.
Boom. Oh wow. Okay. Well, that just saved me hours and hours with everything else we covered. Okay, Andre. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. For anybody interested, please like go check out scentbird.com, connect with Andre. We'll have a link to his LinkedIn profile. You can see his posts, past newsletter stuff, a link to his book. And again, thanks again, Andre, for coming on.
Thank you. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Same thing, same, my friend. So that's it for this week's dose. Please, again, if you're looking for a great fulfillment solution, go check out our friends at stored.com. And we will see you next week with another dose of subscription prescription. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe so that you can get notified when new episodes come out each week on Tuesdays.